This is a 2020 Silverado, one of the fourth generation Silverados coming from General Motors, made from 2019 all the way till present date. Now, besides the fact that these things drop their DFM lifters like it's hot,
drop it like it's hot, drop it.
These trucks have proven to be fairly stout. Now, given we've owned this truck now for 4 years, there's one thing that repeatedly causes me a lot of pain, and that's taking this in for service. And I don't know what the deal is with some of the service departments at some of these dealerships, but no, I don't need my air conditioning conditioned. I don't need my engine oil flushed, and I've already changed my blinker fluid. But with all the services they constantly try to shove down your throat, what is actually necessary for your Silverado if you actually care about it? Well, fortunately, I have a very good friend that has been working on these trucks since the day they came out. Here's what he told me you actually need to get done at 50,000 miles, if not sooner, if you care about your truck. Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Suburban, Yukon. You catch my drift. Now, each of these trucks should have their own owner's manual, which includes a wealth of information like warnings to not drink the contents of your battery. We've come so far as a species. But it actually does include a basic overview of your service and maintenance intervals. Now, besides the normal change your oil and air filters, what are those services that you actually need to get done? We're tackling 2 today. We're gonna get a little bit dirty. First thing we're doing has to do with what's going on in here. Our 2020 Silverado is equipped with the 5.3 liter V8 and the 10-speed transmission. Regardless of the truck that you're driving, 2019, the current date, you're likely equipped with one of 2 differentials. If you're doing this for yourself, be extra careful. We have the truck jacked up in the air, sitting on 6-ton jack stands, and I have the rear end drooped fully. That way I have full access to the rear diff. Now with these models of trucks, you'll likely have one of 2 differentials, the AAM or GM. I have the AAM model because there's some distinguishing features between the 2. You can see those differences, and if I come to the driver's side of my pumpkin housing, I can see that distinguishing feature. This is the AAM, and that matters because it'll determine the gasket you need, the type of oil you need, and the fill level of your rear diff. And this is a straightforward service. You're gonna need new gear oil, a gasket, and some basic hand tools. I went ahead and linked what you need in the description below just to make sure you're getting the right stuff. I ordered all of mine off of Amazon yesterday. It's getting delivered in the next hour or so, so hopefully it's here by the time that we're ready for it. This stuff is always super nasty, so prepare yourself. We're gonna take a 3/8 inch ratchet, take these 12 10mm bolts, break them loose, and leave 1 or 2 in. Let all that nasty stuff come out, hopefully into here, not on my face. There we go. You can definitely do this all by hand. Every one of these bolts will have thread locker on it, so it's gonna take a little bit. You see the thread locker on these bolts. Oh, that smells so yummy.
Yummy.
Apparently my boys are loving the noise. Here's our fill plug. Actually not bad at all. Typically these have a magnet on the back side that catches all the metal shavings. So take a closer look here. This is essentially what converts power from the motor all the way to the rear wheels.
Okay, power.
So basically, power from the motor goes through the transmission, from the transmission through the drive shaft. Through the drive shaft, there's a drive pinion gear that spins in this direction, and it turns this really big ring gear in that direction, and there's a lot of stuff happening in there. I'm not gonna go into how that works, but essentially it applies power to the rear wheels. Because this is a lot of metal on metal contact, over the first 20, 30,000 miles, you will get some metal shavings, but this is one of the parts we're gonna be replacing. Here's the gasket. You want to replace that if you're gonna be pulling this off. When it breaks in with all that fluid, you will get some of those little metal shavings, and those are not good to have spinning up and around here for thousands and thousands of miles. So recommendation number 1 from my good buddy is change your diff fluid at about 40,000 miles. We're sitting at 60,000 miles, so I'm late to the game on this. So here's all the fluid that came out of the rear diff. We got our rear gasket. Inside of the diff cover, you can see some of those little sparkles down there. Those are little small pieces of metal. You don't want those spinning around your diff. There's also a magnet in here, and that's what this yummy goop is all about. All right, get some basic brake clean her all out, try to not make a big mess, put them back together. All right, since our diff cover is out of the truck, and I have a bad habit of this, we hit it with some 600 grit sandpaper, and I'm gonna put a fresh coat of semi-gloss black. Then we're gonna customize it a little bit just because this is just what we do. All right, since this thing is visible from the back, so if you're driving behind this truck, you can see, call it the bottom half of the differential. So it's visible. And I have a tendency to customize my truck to make it a little bit unique and a little bit to myself. So we got our Lone Star Hawaiian roots there, but we also have some Kodus. And what Kodus are is a Maori design. And when I say Maori, I mean New Zealand. So my wife is Maori, and this is technically her truck, but it's my YouTube channel. So Hawaiian Maori designs on the backside. Little subtle details that I like doing with these projects. Cleaned it up, inside looks good, outside looks great, but more importantly, the Amazon guy just pulled up. This should be our new gasket. We also picked up an oil extractor pump. This is gonna help us with the front differential. You'll see in a second how tight it is up there. Genuine GM. All right, let's get this thing back together. But given it is summertime here in the great state of Texas and there's zero insulation on this garage, don't ask, I didn't build this house. We've had an awesome sponsor this summer, Element, that's been helping me out through these hot summer days. And this is one of those things I would actually buy for myself regardless of being sponsored or not. Now, Element is a zero sugar electrolyte drink mix born from the growing body of research that reveals that optimal health outcomes actually occur at sodium levels 2 to 3 times that of government recommendations. Each stick pack delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, or other dodgy ingredients. Blue thread locker going back on all of our 10mm bolts. Put them in kind of like a star pattern. I can't tell you how excited I am to finish my shop and have a 2-post lift in there. I'm excited to not have to roll around the floor. Element, as always, keep me nice and hydrated, because if you're not hydrated, guys, you're not feeling right, you're not performing right, you're not thinking right, and you're gonna make mistakes. The best in the world drink Element. I'm talking Team USA weightlifting, health practitioners, high endurance athletes. It's all about getting the right amount of electrolytes. If you don't have what you need, you're not feeling right, you're not performing right. That's why I've been genuinely enjoying being in my element. See what I did there? Woo! And Element's got a fantastic offer for us. Go to drinkelement.com/Lone Star. You can get a free Element sample pack with any purchase. And there's no risk, because if you guys don't like it, they return your order without any questions asked. Guys, support the brands that support this channel. Check out that link in description below, because staying healthy and energized is critical for what I do. 30 foot-pounds, and then you go back and do a 20-degree turn after the 30 foot-pounds. We have some other fluids to talk about. And it's not Element, it's not for your body, it's for the rear differential of your Silverado, because there's 2 different types of rear diff oil dependent on the model you have. If you have the AAM, like I do, that's the part number and that's the quantity that you need. And the fill level is a little bit different too. If you have the GM model, this is the type of fluid, this is the amount, and this is the fill level for your application. All right, so if you have the AAM, you have 2.6 quarts of diff oil going in. We have a very simple manual pump. I used this on the ZL1 a while back. So it's gonna be 2 and about half of these bottles. Final level should land about 1 inch below the fill hole. That way it has room to expand as it heats up. And I tell you, this new stuff does not smell any better than the old stuff. Woo. All right, my little trick to check the level, we have a zip tie, just bent it at a 90-degree angle. I'm gonna stick that in there. We can see it should be 1 inch below that edge. Pull that out. That's actually pretty dang close. Torque spec for your fill plug is that right there, because I don't know offhand. I need to go check. Now, why you want to do this sooner rather than later is pretty straightforward. Now, the longer you go with those little specs, you see all those little metal flakes in there? Now, if that sits floating around in your rear diff, for a very long time, it will tear up your rear diff. It's not a cheap part to replace. It's time for the front diff now, except we're going to vacuum out the fluid and then fill back up. A little bit different levels and specs, but let's go ahead and knock out the front now. Front of the truck here, once you remove the skid plate, your front diff cover is right here. You can have your 3/8" ratchet, loosen that plug up, and then we're just gonna take the plug out. Looks good. We have the O-ring on there as well. Now we went out and purchased a oil extractor pump. You don't necessarily need this extravagant of one. This was 60 bucks. I have a few other uses for this down the line, so I did want to invest in one, so we have one now. We're gonna stick this hose in at the very bottom and then suck out all the fluid, fill her back up with fresh stuff. It's working, it's working, it's working. Look at it go. Similar to the rear diff, the front end will have an AAM or a GM part. Now that matters because the oil capacity and type of oil differ between the two. This one, similar to the back, is an AAM. Tell that by this diff cover protruding out. There's 1.1 quarts of fluid. You want the final level to be just below the fill hole. So we'll do the same thing. Fill it up, get our bit and zip tie, and check the level, like a 1/4 inch if even that. Come on. A little bit easier. Done with this step. But we have 2 more critical things you need to be doing at your truck at 50,000 miles, or if not sooner, on our beloved 2020 Silverado. Front and rear diff serviced. Fluid's nice, new and clean. New gasket on there and nothing's leaking. So next thing up is something that's very important, but so simple according to the guys that work on these things day in and day out. And it has to deal with an E word, ethanol. Now, in specific applications like design fuels like E85, E90, where 85 or 90% ethanol mixed with a high horsepower tuned forced injection like a turbocharger equals really cool results. However, the ethanol blended fuels we get on our local gas stations is on the lower end of the spectrum. You'll typically see things like may contain up to 10% ethanol. Another hot day. It's 107 out. Gosh dang it. So what's up with this ethanol stuff? By the way, we got a visitor now. Say hi. Picking kids up from school today. But the good thing is by their school is a Costco gas station, which is one of my favorite top tier gas stations here in the North Texas area. Yes, it has the up to 10% ethanol fuel. Now what we're doing next is what was recommended every few thousand miles if you can. Now that's gonna be a fuel system treatment. Why is that important when it comes to these ethanol fuels? Ethanol in itself is a solvent. It has a tendency to dislodge some things in your fuel system that can gunk up your fuel injectors. In addition, it also sucks at storing. Ethanol fuel is hygroscopic, meaning it attracts and absorbs water. This isn't as big of an issue if you're driving every single day, but if the fuel sits for any prolonged amount of time, phase separation occurs where the gas, the alcohol, and the water and the fuel separate. And as you can imagine, injecting water into your engine thinking it's fuel is like missing that last step, walking up a staircase. It's not fun, which eventually leads to your truck just not running right. Next child on board.
Hi, Daddy.
So with your guys' trucks, you should have one of these bad boys with your truck. This is essentially a little funnel that allows you to open up the valve in the gas inlet. We're gonna add this in first, and then we're gonna add 12 to 15 gallons. This actually is rated for 15 to 20. We're gonna run it a little bit stronger. And what this is gonna help with is to remove some of the deposits within the fuel system, specifically those fuel injectors to ensure unrestricted flow and that they're functioning properly. In addition, it does coat all metallic surfaces, protecting the entire fuel system. So doing this every few thousand miles is a nice little insurance policy. So the truck was nearly empty. I think we had like 1.5 gallons of gas left, which is perfect because we're starting fresh with 93 octane. We have the additive in there, and we are now at 12 gallons. We're gonna stop her. Okay, I lied. 14.5 gallons. There are several types of fuel additives across the market. Now, I grew up as one of those seafoam guys. However, I've personally noticed that seafoam, it's just, I don't know, not the same over the last few years. Now, the recommendation from the expert is what you saw me put in this truck, which is the AC Delco specific fuel additive. Now, I will link that in the description below if you want to try it out, but it is a little bit more expensive than your typical seafoam treatment. It's what the experts recommend, and they're not getting anything from me for this video, so they have nothing in this. Now, stick around, guys, because I'm going to show you something I've been hiding from you for a while now, and it's going to change this truck out forever. It's hiding up there. I'll explain in a minute. And last but definitely not least, because it's the most expensive, if you mess it up, you got 10 speeds. And that is your transmission. The recommendation was for a transmission service. Now, there's a few different ways you can approach it. You can go full send and drop your pan, change the filter, change all the fluid, which is probably the best route, or the dealerships have special tools to flush out your fluid in your transmission and replace it with brand new fluid. So 14 quarts of transmission fluid later, not the cheapest stuff. We actually got our service at a GM service center. If you are doing it for yourself, I will warn you, it is an absolute beast because not only do you have to drop the pan, but you have to drop the exhaust to get the pan out. So you have to drop the Y pipe. To drop the Y pipe on your exhaust, you have to unhook your O2 sensors, make an absolute mess because it's always a mess pulling the pan out. And then you can change your filter, put the pan back on, new gasket, fill back up with transmission fluid. It's a whole process in itself. You have to get it to a particular temperature and then put the fluid in and then check the fluid. And given how expensive these transmissions are, I did not want to try that out for myself. Now it's interesting though, in your owner's manual, you have two different sections for your service intervals. You have service for normal operation. Flip the page, you have service for severe. This truck is completely pampered. Outside of driving it fairly hard for videos from time to time, it doesn't tow. It goes to soccer games, the grocery store, and it carts your family back and forth. So realistically, normal operation is where we'd probably live on the service side, but if you look at the normal section, there's nothing about transmission fluid. On the severe side, change automatic transmission fluid, and that is marked at 45,000 miles. If you guys are towing a lot, definitely look into the transmission fluid service. But again, from the horse's mouth, this is what the guys that work on these things every single day recommend. And another fun thing about this truck hitting 60,000 miles without any major issues, by the way, is our Powertrain limited warranty is now dead. Which means we can go a little bit more crazy with the powertrain modifications, which we haven't done up until this point, just in case something silly happened. We're at 60,000 miles. Powertrain warranty is dead. Do we finally go forced induction with a Whipple supercharger? Let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see a DIY supercharge install on the new generation Silverado, which will go perfectly hand in hand with what we have in the garage, which I'm going to show you right now, because this truck's going to get real rowdy real quick. All right, we're gonna be real quick in here because it is really hot, but you see a couple white things there behind me, and there's 6 of them. Now, we have one truck halfway done, the other truck coming up next. These are Fiberworks fiberglass fenders. That one is for a 2020 Silverado bedside. These are for a 2020 Silverado front fender. On top of the 07 Silverado getting the wide body pre-runner treatment, we have a wide body pre-runner treatment coming for the 2020 Silverado. All the suspension parts are here ready to go. The Fiberworks fenders. I'm not gonna tell you exactly who we're going with for the suspension, but I would say they're the kings of the dirt. So obviously a lot of exciting things coming for our 2020 Silverado. If you guys don't want to miss that, be sure you're subscribed to the channel. Scroll down, hit that subscribe button below. But before we close out today, we have a few more things to tackle on the Dream Shop. First thing is finishing up this overhead door. A few weeks back, we installed this 14-foot by 13.6 massive garage door, all DIY, but I wasn't sure where to put these struts on the back side. Now, after a few conversations, I'm adding one to the back side of where the glass is located and then spreading them out kind of closer towards the top. Apparently, that's where the more severe wind hits. So we have that all installed.
Hello.
Ready to go, and it finally works. It doesn't shoot up in the air because we added a little bit of weight to the door, but we still need to decide on the chain hoist system. I'm not sure exactly the route I'm going to go just yet. So what's going on with my building permit, the city, and with the Dream Shop? Well, we're currently in a holding state. So we're waiting on the city to approve my electrical plans. But in addition to all the electrical plans, I had to provide an update with all the changes we've done to our building. We've added additional windows. We changed the size of our overhead door in addition to adding that man door over there and those 3 windows behind me. So we changed a lot from the initial design that was approved by the city. So they have to go back and review all the previous plans with the windows and doors that were added. Long story short, I submitted those changes 42 days ago. They got back to me just last week saying I failed and I needed to change a few different things. So changed it immediately, resubmitted it the next day, and it's been 11 days since I resubmitted those plans. So we're sitting waiting on the city. Once they approve the electrical plans, we can get going on the rough-in on our electrical. But that's the update, guys. We're waiting on the city to approve these final plans. I photoshopped a few different things so they can see the exterior, which I changed a little bit. Hopefully they approve that change because it'll allow me to save a little bit of money on the brick veneer on the exterior. Thanks for the patience on the videos, guys, because I'm losing all my patience on the city. So that's gonna be it for today. If you guys enjoyed this one, please scroll down, smash that like button below, helps the channel out. We'll catch you guys in a few days for our next video. Until that day comes, hopefully it's back with the shop. Y'all take care. Hui ho. Aloha.